Starr Radio UK.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to Bebe Means Business, the show where you get all your information, education, knowledge, tips, practical advice on anything and everything to do with business. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, I'm your host, Bebe Clement, and I run a group of small, successful companies. I'm also the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur, which you can buy on Amazon for $12.99, or you can also buy it from my website for $12.99. Listen, guys, we're on the rundown to Christmas, and this has been the year from hell. There's no nice way of putting it, but we need to position ourselves for the years to come, rather than buy Christmas presents for your kids of, I don't know, 200 pounds Air Jordans or whatever. Get them something that will arm them for the years to come. Get them something that will educate them financially and arm them for the years to come. So I would definitely recommend that if you have a young adult in the house, that you get them a copy of this book, because it will really help them. How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur. I want to apologize for last week, because last week we had major technical issues, which meant that the majority of the program was completed purely by audio. There wasn't a lot of visual. But notwithstanding, we powered through, and I wanted to thank everybody that stuck with us. And your wonderful words of support after the show was really, really appreciated. Thank you very much for sticking with us through the program despite all the difficulties. Hopefully, today we shouldn't have those kind of problems. Today I want to welcome you to part 2 of Keys to Successful Selling. You remember last week we had part 1, Keys to Successful Selling. And I want to just quickly summarize some of the key points that I highlighted last week for those of you who missed the program. But before I do, just let you know, as always, that this is a live and interactive program. And I definitely want to hear your views and on anything that we discuss, and indeed try to answer any of your questions, which I'll be doing after the break at 2 o'clock. So if there's anything that I say today that you want to talk about, or indeed anything that you've heard in past programs that you'd like an opinion on, or you'd like to talk about, please just if you're watching us via Facebook, you can just put the questions in the chat. My producer will pass them to me and I will answer them. But here are the ways in which you can hook up with us. You can hook up with us via Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @Starr Radio UK. Or you can text or WhatsApp us on 07539 661 744. That number again is 07539 661 744. Or indeed email us at info@Starr Radio UK. Or as I said, join us via Facebook at Starr Radio UK. I'm also going to ask you to just take a couple of minutes to hook up with me and connect with me on social media. My Twitter handle is @Bebe Clement. My Instagram is Bebe_Clement. And if you want to hook up with me via LinkedIn, just put my name in. I can assure you I will definitely come up. And the reason why I ask that you connect with me is because I'm always throwing out tidbits there that will really help you in your entrepreneurial journey. Not just your entrepreneurial journey, but life as a whole. Okay, so here we go. Once again, we're going to be talking about the keys to successful selling. And last week, we looked at the whole phobia surrounding selling. People don't like selling. That's the bottom line. People don't like having to sell. And that's mainly because they equate selling with this antiquated idea and concept of selling that they relate with negative emotions. So they're thinking about the door-to-door salesman that, you slam the door in your face. They always knock, just as you sit down to dinner, they always knock then. And you get really annoyed. And when you open the door, you're already in the mood. And so you slam the door in their face. So people kind of relate selling with that. They relate it with negative emotions, having the door slammed in their face, hearing people say no to them, or they relate it to what used to be the slimy car salesman, who would tell you a pack of lies just to make you sell the car. But all that has changed. That's so far removed from what selling is about these days. And the traditional definition of selling we discussed last week was having a product that you want to exchange for money. Having a product that you want to exchange for money. Again, we've moved away from that. So I spoke about different ways in which everybody is selling, because really we're all in sales now. So I spoke about different ways in which we're all selling, and they include things like you go for a job interview. Go for a job interview, you're selling. You're selling yourself. A teacher trying to teach a student is selling. A parent trying to persuade a child to take their studies seriously or not mess around with their education is selling. So all these things are really important. They are all selling. A doctor speaking to a patient, trying to influence them to adapt a more healthy lifestyle is selling. Even a pastor talking about Christ is selling. The product is Christ. So again, these are all concepts of selling that we're involved in every day. So we have no need to fear the whole concept of selling. No need to fear. I then spoke about the new definition of selling, which is making people aware of the gap between where they are in their life at the moment and where they really want to be, and getting them to see that your product or your service is the bridge to overcome that gap. Okay, and then we spoke about relationship selling, that you now have to build a relationship with the client, and just like any relationship, like if you are a guy trying to woo a girl, that's exactly how the relationship is now. A client expects to be wooed. So too much too soon doesn't work with the client now. The sell doesn't work with the client now. Okay, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about a couple of the keys I gave last week, but I also want to give some new keys now. We spoke about making sure that if you're approaching a company and you were trying to sell to a company, to ensure that you are speaking to the decision maker. No point in speaking to the receptionist if she has no power over the decision-making process. We talked about finding out what clients' biases, their objections are, what could stop the client from buying this product, finding all that out. We spoke about talking less and listening more, really key in the new selling arena. You have to talk less and listen a lot more. But I think really one of the most important keys to selling in this dispensation is asking questions. Asking questions. Again, many of us are afraid to ask questions because we think that we will lose the interest of the client or the potential client, and so we're afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid. Questions are your friends, dear entrepreneur. And I'm going to tell you how questions help me in my sphere, what I do. So let's say, for instance, as you know, I'm a speaker and a trainer. So let's say I'm speaking to a potential client, a potential company who wants me to come in and motivate their sales team. So these are some of the questions that I would ask. I would ask something, for instance, like, okay, so what has prompted the need for my services at this time? Because clearly something has arisen, all right? So I need to know what exactly is the problem so that I know how my services can be the solution. Once I know what the problem is, I know how to tailor my services to being the solution. And if I'm just, aiming in the dark, I won't be able to do that. So that would be a good question to ask. Another question to ask would be, how many people are attending? Because that will have a bearing on how I structure my talk or my training. How many people are attending? What are their sexes? So are they mainly guys or are they mainly female? So for instance, let's say I was going to do a PowerPoint presentation. Knowing the dominant sex amongst them will influence the kind of, even the colors that I will use for my presentation. So if they're mainly guys, I can use strong colors. I would use reds or blacks, or that kind of thing, or browns, that kind of thing, because they're bold, they're instructive, they're macho, and they appeal to men. If I was speaking to an all-woman group, I would use more subtle colors. You might see light blues. You might see lilacs. You might see marigold, because these are the colors that that resonate with women. So that would be important. I'd also ask questions like, what's the cultural makeup of the group that I'm speaking to? Are they all black or ethnic minors, or are they Caucasian? Again, there are some things I would say to an all Caucasian group that I wouldn't say if they're an all black group, and vice versa. There are even some jokes that I might crack with a black group of people that I might not crack necessarily if they were Caucasian. That kind of thing is important for somebody like me to know. And then I would ask something like, how would you measure the success of my speaking with your group of people? How would you measure the success? So let's say, for instance, their current quarterly turnover is 100,000. And they're thinking, if we get Bebe to come in and speak to our guys, our turnover is going to leap to 200,000. All right. Now, by merely asking that question and having them respond to it, I'm able to manage their expectations. So let's say I know that there is no way that me coming to speak, do a halfway workshop with your guys is going to make your income jump by 100%. I can manage their expectation. I can say to them, guys, you know what? I don't think that a half day is going to do it. I reckon that perhaps 20% would be your benchmark as a result of me coming in to speak with your guys. But if you're looking for 100%, then we're going to have to do more than a half day. So here's what I suggest. Let me come in maybe twice a week for a period of 4 weeks. Or give me your top salesmen, maybe 3 of them. And aside from me coming to speak to the team, I will do some one-to-one coaching with them for a period of, 6 weeks. Then we're looking at maybe an 80% increase in your sales. So can you see how just asking that simple question has, one, helped me manage the expectations of the client? So the client is not thinking, oh, we're going to have 100% leap in our sales, and they then have only 20% and they think, oh, well, BB can't be a very good speaker. In that case, we're not going to hire her again next year. So can you see how that operates? So I'm able to manage their expectations, but then I'm also able to broaden the scope of the services I'm able to offer that client, which in previous programs, you'll remember I've said is imperative for you to do. Rather than do the one-off sale to a client and then go and have to spend time, energy, and money looking for another client, what you need to always be doing is broadening the horizon of the type and the scope of the services that you can offer an existing satisfied client. So then I would ask something like, so what is the most important message that you would like your people to get? And one of the things that I have learned and you need to adopt is don't let what you want to say get in the way of what your clients need to hear. Now that is applicable to me as a speaker. So let me translate that to you if you were selling something, let's say you were selling books. You need to make sure that what you want to give your client doesn't get in the way of what your client is trying to get from you. So let's say you have a particular book series on sales and marketing, and you think this is a fantastic series, you really want your client to get it, blah, blah, blah. If you ask your client the question, what is it that you would like to get out of the books that I'm selling? What is it that you are looking for? They may tell you, well, actually, we need some help with health and safety. And so then you know that actually I'm selling them the wrong product. I'm pushing the wrong product. And then you adapt your pitch accordingly. So never let what you want to say get in the way of what your client needs to hear. So I would ask my client, what do you want your people to get? Because they may have a particular message they want their people to get. It might well be that they feel that the vision has gotten lost, that the people are no longer pushing the vision. That might be the most important thing for them to get across. Not even necessarily the increasing sales by 100%, but just a revisiting of the company vision. That's what they want to get across. So by asking that question, you get a lot of information. I may then ask to speak to their top salespeople, because one of the things I've discovered is what happens in senior management, what is important to senior management on a strategic level might be something completely different from what's happening on the ground within the team. And oftentimes, team leaders don't pass the message of what is really happening to strategic level. So they're not sure. There's a disconnect there. So even though senior management have told me, Bibi, this is what we want to get across, I would then speak to those who are actually dealing with those teams on a daily basis. And then find out from them, what are the issues that you are having? So again, you can see that just asking questions opens up a whole door for you. And the more satisfied, the more questions your clients can answer, the more you are able to produce your product or fashion your product in a way that solves your clients' problems. And the more problems you solve, the more you sell. It's that simple. The more problems you solve, the more they hire you. The more problems you solve, the more they think you're good at what you do. The more problems you solve, the more repeat business. And that is what you need to be looking to do. All right. So also, I've discussed this before, removing as many hurdles as possible between you and the client, in relation to the buying experience. So for instance, let's say you have a shop and your window display is so crowded that I don't know what it is that you sell, then I am not going to be buying from you. So let's say, I've seen, there's a particular shop that I can see in my mind's eye that comes to mind. And in that shop window, they have Weave On in one corner of the shop. They also have calling cards in one corner of the shop. They also have an ad for cargo, for international cargo, in one corner of the shop. So when I'm looking at this shop window, it is almost impossible for me to say this is what this shop does, because there's just so many things going on. And you don't want that. You don't want that. People who are confused ain't going to buy. So you don't want that. So you need to remove as many hurdles as possible for your clients in the whole buying process. So for instance, something like there not being any on-site parking to your office, that is a hurdle. That means I, as a potential client, need to go find somewhere where I can park. Maybe I can't even find any free parking in surrounding areas. That means I'm going to have to spend money to park. Perhaps it's expensive to park in that area. That means I'm already thinking I'm going to limit this meeting to 30 minutes. Whereas if I had spent maybe an hour in your office, I might have been more inclined to buy more services from you. So can you see how important removing the hurdles in the buying process is? Now, during the week, I lead a mastermind group, and one of the members of the group raised something. He was talking about how he was having concerns about his website because he didn't think there was sufficient traffic going to his website. Now, can I just say this, if in context of what we are speaking about today, keys to successful selling. Now, a website is not what it used to be. It used to be that if you met somebody at a networking event and you gave them your business card, the first thing they would do is probably check out your website. That is different now. I want you to write this down. Attention is the new currency. Attention is the new currency. And what I mean by that is social media researchers have told us that you have on average about 3 seconds to get somebody's attention online. So people who get people's attention online are constantly in their face, constantly. So for instance, I'm posting stuff almost daily. So the first thing, of course, you do is you find out where do your clients visit a lot online. And then you go and establish a presence there. And you begin to feed them information that they need on a consistent basis. So for instance, in relation to this show, I've discovered that, remembering that attention is the new currency, I've discovered that putting stuff out there as from Friday, the previous Friday or the week before about the show that's airing on Tuesday is too long. Their attention span isn't going to last a week. So what I do is on Mondays and on the morning of Tuesday, I send out information about the show, the topic about the show. If I'm going to have guests, I'll send out information about the guests, and then I send a polite reminder on Tuesday morning that the show is airing at 1:30. And then when people see that you are constantly connecting with them, they are then more likely to think, okay, what else does this lady do? And then go to your website. But now you have to have something that motivates them to visit your website. People don't just visit your website. Why would they? When other people are constantly in their face or constantly connecting with them on social media where they always are. So in order for them to go and visit their website, there must be some kind of compulsion to make them do that. Okay? So if you're not connecting with them in other ways, by way of blog, by way of articles, by way of tips, by way of videos, that kind of thing. If you are not already doing that, it is very unlikely that they're just going to, one day decide, oh, I'm going to visit Bebe Clement's website. No, it doesn't work that way. Something has to influence them sufficiently for them to want to find out more. Okay? So you need to stay in your client's consciousness. All right. Let's take a quick break there. We'll be back in a minute, and then I'll continue. All right. See you in a moment. Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business, but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BB Means Business Show. I'm your host, Bebe Clement, and I just had to take a couple of minutes to just wet my whistle. Okay, now this one is really, really important, and I really need you to get this. So I hope I can finish this before we take the break at 2 o'clock. You need to give your clients choice, but not too much choice. Now, I know that sounds weird, but bear with me, and all shall be made clear. A few years ago, I was going to hire a lady to handle my PR. And while we were sitting in her office and we were talking, and she was getting a better feel for what I do, she gave me some tips that have been invaluable, actually. And Jackie, if you're watching, thank you very much. So she began to ask me some questions. She said, when you go and speak in public, do you have an exhibition stand? Do you have products that you sell? So I said, yes, I have products. And she said, how many products do you have? And I said, well, I have a lot of products, and I do a lot of speaking. So I have a lot of products, and I speak about quite a few things. I speak about business and entrepreneurship. I also speak about leadership. I also speak sometimes about things like marriage. And then I also have religious speaking. So I do a lot of preaching and stuff like that. So she said, okay, so on average, when you go and speak somewhere, how many products would you say that you have on your exhibition stand? And my response was, I have as many as possible so that I can give my clients as much choice as possible. And she said to me, that's a huge mistake. Now that piqued my interest. And I said, why? It gives the clients choice. And she said, yes, it gives them choice, but too much choice is not good. Because what happens is people will come, they will come around once they've heard you speak and they know you're a good speaker, they will come to your exhibition stand and they will look at all your products. But then if there are too many products, they become overwhelmed. And overwhelmed clients then become indecisive. And indecision almost leads to confusion. And confused clients do not buy. Now, I found that interesting. So I'm always up for a challenge. So I thought I'd put that to the test. So the next time I went to speak somewhere and I had an exhibition stand, I told my team, listen, we're only taking 3 products. Based on the information that she gave me, we're only taking 3 products, because she had advised me. She said, what's your staple product? What's the product that you want to be known for the most? And that was, of course, the book, How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur. So she said, okay, make that the staple product. Every time you go to speak, use that, make sure that that's highlighted, that's on display, prominent display. So I told my team, so we're going to do that. We changed the way we put our products out. We display our products. So the book was highlighted. And then I had 2 other products. One of the products related to the topic that I was speaking about. So if clients wanted more information on that topic, so let's say I was talking about how to speak well in public, I would have a DVD or a CD that had that topic. So people could get some more detailed information if they wanted to buy it. And then I would have one random product that didn't relate to what I was speaking about that would give them a bit of choice. So I had those 3 displayed. And you know what? She was right. My sales went up considerably, and I've adapted that ever since. Now, I later read about some research that a group of people did in France, and this was in relation to jam. And it was the same kind of thing that happened. So what they did was they had 24 different types of jams, different flavors and types of jams on display at an event. And they said that loads of people came to the stand, loads of people. But they discovered that they only made 3% sales. Now, when they reduced the number of jams to just, I think it was 3 or 4, less people came to the stand, but sales increased by 30%. Isn't that amazing? So one of the keys to selling is give your clients choice, but not too much choice. Now, again, particularly for those of us who have more than one side hustle, when you meet someone at a networking event and you want to tell them what you do, don't bombard them with all the things you do. Oh, well, I'm a speaker, but I also sell Mary Kay products, and I also sell Avon. Because again, choice is good, but too much choice is confusing, and confused people don't buy. Because inevitably, they will forget what you said. What did that lady say that she did? You know what? I can't remember. But if you stick to one thing, I'm a speaker, and this is what I do, they will remember that. And the next time somebody asks them, do you know anybody that can speak on this? They will remember you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here. And as soon as we come back, any questions that have come in, I will be answering them. I specifically want to go back to a question that I had last week that we were not able to finish answering. I've had to think about it, and I want to answer that again. So join me immediately after the break. Bye. Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're enjoying the show so far. Just before we went on our break, I was talking about giving your clients choice, but not too much choice, because confused people do not buy. All right, so like I said, we had a question last week from David, and David was a wine merchant, and I wanted to just give a few more tips. David, we did try to get hold of you, but we were not able to, but I'm going to read your question again and give you some more tips. David said, dear presenter, do you have any advice for businesses like mine, which have been beaten down by the pandemic? We just about survived the first lockdown, but this second one will kill us off, particularly if for any reason it is extended over the Christmas period. We are wine merchants, and we are hoping to establish an online presence before the first lockdown interrupted the process. This strategy is not something that we can put in place within the next few weeks. Okay, so first of all, David, I wanted to say I hope things are getting a bit better, but I had to think about this, and here's some tips for you. Now, you're a wine merchant, and I remember saying last week that even fine dining, even 5-star Michelin restaurants are now having to adapt. So you are going to have to adapt as well. I'm a big advocate for collaboration. So I would encourage you to collaborate with such restaurants. Look for restaurants and collaborate with them. So when they are delivering, you can deliver your wine with them as well. So go and speak to some restaurants who are now delivering and do that. Then there are lots of things you can do online. Not everybody is a wine drinker, like me. Not everybody is a wine drinker or knows a lot about wine. I don't know. All I know is this is red and this is white. The rest of it, I'm an illiterate. So you can start doing things online. Start doing things on Instagram or stuff. Talking about wine. Educate us about the different types of wine. Which wines go with which foods. I always get, I laugh when I hear people say things like, oh, this wine is full-bodied and it's got an oak-like flavor with a smoky finish. Because I have no idea what they're talking about. So this is a brilliant time for you to educate your clients, and you have to educate your clients. That's all part of getting more clients. Educate your clients. This is a brilliant time to do that. So start doing things online that can educate your clients. You can do things like Wine of the Month, where you speak about a particular wine, choose it. Speak to speak to breweries and those who sell wine, and those who produce wine. Speak to those companies and tell them that you will feature their wine as wine of the month. Tell them to supply you with wines that you can give for free to some of your listeners. That kind of thing. There's a whole load of stuff, David, that you can do. how to drink wine on the budget. So there are a group of people who maybe hitherto, because of financial reasons, have never had wine or never bought wine with their food. Start talking to that group of people. You can even you can find a whole new group of clientele that you never even thought. You can introduce them to wine. The working class, introduce them to wine. Show them that they don't have to be millionaires or they don't have to be earning six figures in order to enjoy a bottle of wine. All right, so there's lots of things that you can do. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with, David, and I wish you all the best with that. Can I do a quick shout out? A quick shout out to Paul Jones? Paul, thank you so much for joining us on Facebook. Really appreciate your presence. And everybody else that's listening, if you give a shout out on Facebook, I will give a mention to you. Okay, let's go back to the other keys that I'd like to talk about. Now, another key to selling is giving people enough information and then adding that with that a call to action. Giving a call to action is imperative to the buying process. There needs to be sufficient information. So let's say, for instance, I am about to do a seminar and I'm marketing that online. There is a difference between me saying, I'm having a seminar next week, Monday, and you can register for it online. There's a difference between me saying that and me saying, I'm having a seminar next week, Wednesday. To register, go to click on the registration page and pay £25. There is a huge difference between those two statements. And you are less likely to get somebody go and register if I just say you can register online. Because that means that's not enough information. That means they have to go and find me. Then they have to go and find information in relation to this particular seminar that I'm doing. And all that takes time. So you need to give your clients enough information and give them a call to action. Now, I've actually seen this work in another situation that we had. So one of the things that we do, we have a magazine called Law Digest, and this is for it's a premier magazine for Black lawyers globally, and we publish it and we edit it. And on the back of that, we have every year we hold an award night in Africa to reward African lawyers that are making a difference to the legal profession in Africa, building capacity, making a difference in the legal profession. And every year at that event, it's a highbrow event in a nice hotel. And every year at that event, we feature a particular charity, and we let the chair of the charity come and do a presentation, and then we ask the people, the guests, to make a donation towards that charity. Now, I noticed that one year when we said to them, you can make a donation towards that charity, we discovered that hardly anybody did. The feedback was that hardly anybody did. And then when we said to them, you can make, for information about how to donate, speak to any of the hostesses, they will give you the information. Again, yes, the donations increased, but it wasn't a lot. But the year we said to them, if in order to make a donation, the hosts and hostesses are going around with envelopes, please put a check or money inside that envelope and put your name on the envelope, the donations went through the roof. And then we realized from that it wasn't that people didn't want to give or they weren't charitable. We were not giving them enough information in order to do so. And two, we were not given a very clear call to action. So if you want your clients, if you want to be able to sell to your clients, you need to give them sufficient information and a very clear call to action. Right. The next one is called attunement. Attunement. Now, attunement is where you are in sync with your client. Now, this is very important because you've heard me say before that people buy from those they like, they know, and they trust. So the more attuned you are to your client, the more they are likely to like you. Why? Because the more you are attuned to them, you remind them of themselves, and they like themselves. So the more you remind them of them, the more they are likely to buy. And I'll show you how this works. Attunement covers the whole client relationship. So let me say, for example, I'm making an inquiry about your product or your service. So let's say I want to hire you as an accountant. So I send you an email. I go to your website, get your email address, and I send you an email. And I say to you, I address you, Dear Mr. Adams. And then I tell you what it is that I want. And then I say, I sign off my email with yours sincerely, Mrs. Clement. All right. Now, the fact that I have started that email with Dear so-and-so, and I have ended it with formal language like yours sincerely, and I have put there Mrs. Clement, that alone has told you the parameters within which I expect our relationship to operate for now. All right. In other words, I'm saying that right now, the relationship is a formal one. It is purely business, and it is a formal one. So when you are responding to an email like that, do not respond, even if you know my first name, do not respond along the lines of, hi, Bebe, or hello, Bebe. Because the fact that I have said, Dear Mr. Adams, tells you that I do not want us to be on first name basis at this stage. The fact that I have signed it as Mrs. Clement has told you that I want you to address me as Mrs. Clement. Otherwise, I'd have just signed it Bebe. All right. So you have to be attuned to the vibe that your client is giving you. So when you respond, you need to respond, Dear Mrs. Clement, kind regards, or yours sincerely, Mr. Adams. And if you are inclined to pick up the phone and speak to me, I expect the same. So don't be picking up the phone and sending me, hi, baby. No. Good afternoon, Mrs. Clement. Now, it may well be that after we've spoken, I might let down my guard a bit, or I might like you, and we get a bit more personal, and then I'm open to being addressed in another manner. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, you address me in the manner in which I've addressed you. That is attunement. Okay? So this goes as far as even something like posture. So if I was in my office with a client, and the client, while we're talking, the client leans forward and puts their head in their hands or something like that. At some point, I wouldn't do it immediately. I would ease my way into it. But at some point, I would make my body language match theirs. And I would at some point lean forward and put my head in my hands. Why? Because I'm in attunement with my client. All right. Again, what you need to be doing is mirroring back the vibe that you'll get from your client. You need to be looking for common ground. That's also attunement as well. So again, let's say I'm in a client's office, and the client starts talking about football. That some plays football, or I can see, for instance, some photographs in their office where their child plays football for somebody, for a particular team. Okay, and my son plays football. I would talk about that. Oh, what team does your son play for? My son plays for Charlton. So already we have common ground. I have mirrored what interests them. And again, that's attunement. Somebody who is attuned to you is more likely to buy from you. They're more likely to buy from you. Okay? All right. Now, this goes as far as something like feeding back. There was some research that I was reading recently, and they were talking about waitresses that feed back your order verbatim, that means word for word, are more likely to receive a tip than those who just paraphrase your order. So if you ordered, can I have 2 hamburgers, a Coke, and a milkshake, and the waitress says that exactly back to you. Okay, so just to repeat your order, madam, you want 2 hamburgers, fries, and a chocolate shake. somebody like that is more likely to get a tip rather than, so you want the number 6 special. Do you see the difference? They're likely, why? Because they are in attunement with you. All right. They have mirrored what you have said. So they're more likely to get a tip. And it's not a small tip. They found out that such waitresses got up to 70% more tip when they did that. So this is really important. This is the science of selling, and this is really important. Okay. Now, in order to sell more, you need to humanize your product. You need to be aware that most people do not buy with their intellect. They do not buy with their brain. They're not making a logical purchase. Most people buy with their emotions. So you need to humanize your product, or present your product in such a way that it helps the client have an emotional buy-in. It helps you get the emotional buy-in of your client and connect with your product. So, for instance, there was some research done. And this is not even in relation to business, but there was some research done in relation to some guys who worked in an X-ray department. You know, an X-ray, when they take a picture of your chest or whatever. And what usually happens, I'm not sure if this still happens because it's been a while since I've had an X-ray, but what usually happens is they take the X-ray and then they put it in a file wallet, and on the sleeve of that file wallet, they'll write the patient's name and maybe their date of birth. And they discovered that when they added a photograph of the patient to the file wallet, so they didn't just have the patient's name and date of birth, they actually had a picture of the patient on the file wallet. They discovered a number of things happened. One, they, whatever they were looking for, so sometimes maybe let's say they were looking for cancer, they missed it a lot less. You know, sometimes you can have up to 2-3 X-rays before they detect what it is that they're looking for. So they were making the diagnosis, or they were capturing what they were looking for a lot quicker. The X-rays were a lot more accurate. And so they asked them, what has changed? And they said, when we saw the picture of the patient, we began to think, this could be my wife, this could be my mother, this could be my child. And it made it even more important that we got it right. Not only that we got it right, but we got it right quickly, because getting it right quickly could save this person's life. Now, I want you to take that mindset or that example into the whole business experience. That the more you are able to appeal to your client's emotions, the more you are likely to be able to sell to them. So, for instance, if I was selling coffee and I said, buy this coffee because it's the best on the market, that's one thing. And indeed, that it might be true. It might be the best on the market. But if I say to you, buy this coffee because by so doing, it's providing work for a farmer in India who will now be able to feed their family because of the £2 that you spent on coffee, there's a whole bigger likelihood that you are going to buy. Why? Because it has appealed to your conscience, it has appealed to your emotions, and actually whether it is the best coffee in the world or not now becomes secondary, because I've now got your emotional buy-in. I've helped you make an emotional connection to my product. Do you understand the difference? I hope you do. Okay, I'm going to be rounding up in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope that you have enjoyed the program. I hope it has been informative and educative. Thank you to everybody that joined us. And I'll be here next week. Next week is going to be a really good program, and I would encourage you to tune in. Next week, I'm going to have a psychiatrist on the program. And the reason being is because in these times, a lot of entrepreneurs are losing faith and hope because of the challenges that they're coming across, and it is affecting the mental health generally. But in particular, entrepreneurs are particularly affected by mental health. As you well know, entrepreneurs at the best of times are very highly strung. They're go-getters. They're always on the move. So I want to be able to have somebody on the show who can address that issue and to show you, give you tips and advice as to how to keep calm, how to keep sane, how to hold it together, how not to lose it, how not to fall into depression, so that you can go on to be the very best that you can be. All right, so don't miss next week. If you have any friends that you know are struggling in this climate, get them to tune into next week. It's really going to be worth your while. Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay well. It's your girl, Bebe Clement. As always, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life. Have a great week, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life. Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show